Record. All right, and we're good.
All right, we're good. All right, Zach Hall, what's up, buddy?
Good. How you doing, man?
Let's just get right to it. Tell me about you went somewhere.
Yeah, I was in. I flew to Ireland. I went to Scotland, England. I was gone for 2 weeks. I was going there to watch some soccer, meet up with some buddies.
So you specifically went there to watch soccer.
Yes, that was the main goal. I was hoping to get to a couple games, so I only got to one. But specifically to watch Tottenham Hotspur. Yep, those are my boys. It's my team.
Sorry, who?
Tottenham Hotspur.
Tottenham
Hotspur.
Is Tottenham the name of the town?
It's the name of the area, North
Okay.
London, England.
Okay.
So Tottenham, it's the name of the club. It was created in the 1800s at some point.
Okay.
I became a fan 9 years ago. Got into a group with a bunch of other fans from around the world, and buddy in Ireland invited me over.
So you just hopped on a plane and how much did that cost? Like trips to Europe has got to be.
Well, wintertime at least, because I went in January, right?
Right.
A little cheaper. Round trip was under $600 flights to Ireland and back.
Under 600
Yeah.
to fly to Ireland and back.
Yep, and I had to stop off in Iceland there and back as well.
And obviously you were staying with friends there.
I stayed in a hostel in Killarney in Southern Ireland for the majority of the trip. My buddy, his grandma got sick, so couldn't put me up in the house.
Okay. What were the pubs like there? You had to have gone to an Irish pub.
Yeah, that's why I didn't see anything I went to see in Ireland. I only saw the pubs.
Okay.
Because so my buddy who I was meeting, he had a weird work schedule. He was working 3 till 10 every day.
Right.
And then we'd meet up around 10:30 at the pubs downtown Killarney. It's a town no bigger than Goderich.
Okay.
Kind of a tourist town though as well.
Right.
And they're open till 4 a.m. at least.
What do you mean at least?
Well,
depending on who's like how many people are there, they'll decide to shut her down or just leave it open.
They'll lock the doors, and if you leave, you're out.
Okay.
But if you stay inside, you're good to stay for a little while as well.
So were you in a pub at 4 a.m.?
Multiple times.
And how many people are in an Irish pub at 4 in the morning?
The one Sunday, 70 at least.
70
Yeah.
at 4 in the morning.
Yeah, because they had live music going at least till
Okay.
2 or 3.
Wow.
It was awesome. There's the main bar we went to is called the Killarney Grand.
Okay.
And the front half of it was a pub scene, live music, bar, like dark, like a pub, Irish pub, what you think
Right.
one would look like. There's a little corridor at the back, go down to the bathrooms, but then past that, there's a nightclub. They have dance music going in there, all sorts of lighting effects, another bar in there.
And that goes till 4 in the morning or as well?
At least, yeah. And funny thing is, when I was coming back on the 10th of February, my bus was 4:30 in the morning, and I was like already at the pubs at midnight. I was like, I better not go to sleep. My buddy's like, we'll just stay. We'll just stay. So I was at the pub till 4 a.m. I checked my 2 suitcases at the door of the club, and then I just walked to the bus stop from there.
From there.
Yeah, and it was about, I slept for a lot of it, but it was about 4 hours bus ride from Killarney back up to Dublin. So
Did you see any other parts of Ireland?
I saw a lot of it. I didn't stop to take a look really,
Right.
but because when I flew there, I rented a car right away
Okay.
and drove down to Killarney. So
Okay.
it was interesting. On the right side of the car, on the left side of the road, was interesting to learn.
Okay, so it's the opposite of what we know here. So
Yeah.
what was that like for the first time getting into a car and everything's on the opposite side and driving and like did it take a little bit to get used to, or was it just kind of like, okay, this is just how it is?
Well, I tried not to be too nervous about it. I had to pay a lot extra for an automatic because I don't know how to drive stick, especially when I had to know how to drive like left-sided stick. So I had a really small, tiny little car. And when I put my Google Maps on, I put the settings to avoid major highways because I didn't think
Right.
I was going to be prepared for that.
Right.
So it took me all sorts of back roads everywhere. And then eventually I ran into a flock of sheep on the road.
Not a flock of seagulls.
Nope, sheep. I don't know what else you call them, a herd? I don't know what to call
Oh,
that.
it's a flock.
It's a flock of sheep.
I think so. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, because a shepherd looks after his flock.
yeah,
Yeah, it's in the Bible.
whatever. So it was at that moment, because I didn't see any fences.
You totally didn't get the flock of seagulls thing, did you?
Flock of seagulls. No, was
It's
it
an old '80s band.
called the Flock of Seagulls?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I didn't know that.
Anyway, carry on.
Um,
For any my listeners that are my age, definitely should have picked up on that one. Carry on.
yeah, so it was at that moment, I didn't see any fences around. I didn't know where these sheep came from.
They're just on the road.
100 of them at least, just blocking all lanes of traffic. So at this point, I figured I was probably in the boonies. I was like, I'm nowhere near where I should be going. So I had to turn on the settings to take highways. So it literally made me loop all the way back around for like 25 minutes and then finally get to a highway. And then from there, I just bucked it south for 4 hours.
Okay, so tell me about a soccer atmosphere in Ireland.
Well, I went to the game, technically was in England.
Okay, just tell me about, because soccer's like so much bigger over there than it is here. I'm not into soccer. I'm not a soccer guy. I'm a Leafs fan, but I'm only a Leafs fan when they make the playoffs and make it past round one. So I haven't been a Leafs fan for a very, very long time. But anyway, tell me about a soccer crowd in England or somewhere, wherever you were. Like, what's that? What's it like to be there experiencing the crowd?
I've never been to an NFL game, but you always hear about tailgating parties and like those are some of the most hardcore fans of sports in North America, right?
Okay.
I feel like a soccer game over there would blow it out of the water.
I was that's why I was asking.
Yeah. So honestly, it wasn't that busy. We just took the train from downtown up to the stadium. And my buddy who was on the train with me, he's just like, hey, like in about 2 minutes, look out this window and you'll see a giant space station. I was like, huh? Like, what do you mean? And lo and behold, a couple minutes later, there's the stadium, just huge. It's a brand new stadium, the newest one in all of Europe, 60,000 seats.
60? I actually thought it would have been more.
I mean, Wembley has a bit more, maybe 90,000, but that's
Okay.
like for international games and stuff.
Right.
But this one was really cool. So the whole outer rim, but inside the stadium is hollowed out, and they have the world's longest bar, like pretty much halfway around the whole stadium.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's the longest bar in the world, so which is really sweet. Self-filling beer stations. So essentially, you can load. Well, you go pay for a beer,
Right.
and then they just put the cup down, shove it down on something, and it fills up. There's a little magnet on the bottom,
Right.
and that was really cool. But I have some videos of all the people chanting. Like, it's just a wild, wild, wild time in there. No other team fans to be seen in this bar region. It's all Tottenham fans
Right.
singing all the club songs, like jumping up and down before the game. It was getting crazy in there.
Now, who were they playing?
Manchester City, which is
Okay.
the defending champions.
Okay. Now, what is like rivalry between soccer communities, fans versus of other fans of teams? Like, is everybody like really cool with each other, or is it kind of get crazy? I don't know. I was at an Eskimos game when I lived in Edmonton, and I think they were playing the BC Lions, and there was a couple BC fans there, and like there was. Like you could tell, like they were chattering each other, and there was a bit of animosity. And it's obviously just like I don't give a shit about football. I went because the ticket was free, and I just wanted to experience something when I was out in Edmonton, and I was just like, really, it's just like this is just CFL football. But I could. So what's it like out there as far as rivalries between fans?
It gets pretty deep.
So it is. It's
Oh
a,
yeah. England, maybe not as much, but like Manchester City's not really a rival team in the sense of actual like fan rivalries.
Right.
They were just the defending champions. We wanted to kick their ass. We did. We beat them 2-0. It was awesome. That was probably the last win we've had. I brought the good luck back to Canada with me, but so the fans are segregated. All the City fans were down to the left of me in a section of the stadium.
Right.
And there's security in between them all.
Okay.
You cannot bring alcohol to your seats. No beers at the seats. So if you want a beer, you drink a lot
drink it
prior.
at the bar.
Yeah, you got to go to the bar. They do have smaller bars on different levels as well,
Right.
but it was crazy. Like 60,000. I never thought it was so exciting to me. I'd never been like I guess I did see Tottenham play once. They came to Canada 2014 just to play a friendly game against Toronto FC.
Right.
That was even before Toronto FC added on to their stadium. So that was really cool. Went bar hopping after that. But anyways, Tottenham's biggest rival would be Arsenal. It's another team from North London.
Mm-hmm.
They really suck, but right now I think there might even be a point ahead of us in the league.
Okay.
The league is suspended just like all other sports right now, but
I kind of thought I had this whole thing made up in my head about rivalries over there would kind of like be from Shrek, the first one, and he's just like, can't we just settle this over a pint?
right. Yeah, no doubt. No, it was fine. There was no like I would have loved to see Arsenal play
Right.
there because then there would have been some trouble perhaps because it's a heated rivalry. That's the biggest rivalry in North London. Or even in London, perhaps. There's a few teams in London, England, though, because it's such a massive city. It was massive. I'd never seen anything on its scale. Like, it was huge. We're talking 10 plus million people.
So how long ago was it that you came back?
I came back on the 10th of February.
So just over a month ago.
Yeah.
All right. Now here's the big question, and I want to talk a little bit about this because, well, it's the only news that's happening right now. It's what everybody's talking about. It's what the whole world is talking about. And, well, you know what? I'm going to talk a little bit about it too. Tell me about the coronavirus over in Europe. What was it like when you were there? Was it kind of like a nonchalant sort of attitude the way we were just a week ago? Or was it kind of a hot topic? Like, what was it like over there as far as that goes? Or was it anything at all?
Well, not in Ireland. And I don't think so much. Like, I didn't see anyone with masks on or anything like that. There was no mass panic at the grocery stores or anything like that. I don't even think me and my buddies talked about it at all, to be honest with you. Maybe. But,
Like, were other people talking about it? Because a month ago it was a thing. It wasn't
at the levels it is now in Europe, though.
Right.
Like, Europe is like the hot spot
Yeah,
right
yeah,
now,
yeah.
right? So, no, not in Ireland. England, yeah, there's a lot of people wearing masks. Well, 1 out of every 50 people, maybe not a lot.
okay.
I saw a bunch.
Yeah.
Same as when I flew into Edinburgh, Scotland, there was a bunch of people, and this isn't to be weird, but most of them were Asians
Right.
wearing the masks, right?
I see Asians here, like in Huron County, that wear masks, and like
Yeah.
and that wasn't even just recently. That's like I drive through Mitchell, Ontario, every single day on the way to my job, and very common. I see some Asian people walking up in Mitchell, and I have for years wearing masks and stuff. So I'm not
Oh, yeah.
sure what that's all about. But
You'd see that in the cities, so yeah,
Yeah.
like Toronto especially.
no, I wasn't sure with you being overseas, over in Europe, and just what it's turned into over there. If you had seen any of that, or if it was any craziness going on over there in regards to it, but
No, I don't think that people really knew enough about it to be that worried necessarily. Like, I didn't talk about it in Ireland. Um, I'm thinking my buddy Paul, when I was up in Scotland, buddy who let me stay at his house, really nice guy.
Yeah.
I feel like we mentioned it a couple times. Like, I saw a couple masks at the Edinburgh airport, but up in Dundee where I was staying, nobody was acting up like that. Just seemed casual still.
Right.
Wolverhampton, I stayed a night there with another buddy, Matty Dempster. Was fine. The Edinburgh, or I went to Birmingham Airport. I was in a little bit of a rush there, so I didn't notice that at all. But I'm sure there was a couple. But no, I'd say that at the time when I was there, I was pretty relaxed about it. They weren't.
Right.
They probably weren't worried about it now.
Well,
the big news when I was there actually was Brexit. Like,
okay.
I think I was in Ireland. Maybe I was in Scotland. I'm pretty sure I was in Ireland. So Ireland is not part of the UK,
Right.
the Republic. So Northern Ireland, Scotland, Wales, England are the UK, right?
Okay.
So my buddies down in Ireland didn't really care. But my buddy in Scotland was really interested in it. He talked down about his whole country because they had that first vote, and they're the first country in the world to vote against sovereignty. So he was fuming on that, but he's happy that another vote's coming. Especially now with Brexit, Scotland I think is gonna break from the UK.
Okay.
At least based on one man's Scottish politics or his opinion on it. Anyway, he was getting real worked up. We went to Stirling Castle in Stirling, Scotland, and he was getting pretty fumed up on like the history of the whole place. It just stops at the end of like the Scottish royal family when England took over essentially. And he was just getting heated on that.
I don't even have a fucking clue what you're even talking about.
Fair.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I don't even know what you're even talking about. I don't know anything about that. But what do you think about this whole coronavirus right here in Huron County? The way it's. Well, just to give you an example, I was out fishing last Thursday.
Right.
And we were on the lake for 9 hours.
That's a long
And
time.
in 9 hours, like we listened to the radio, you know, on the way up to where we were fishing. And, you know, they talked about what was going on and stuff. We get off the lake 9 hours later, I get back in my car, I'm driving back home, and, you know, and I got the radio on. And I'm like, what the fuck happened in 9 hours? From the time that 9 hours we were on the lake, it was all schools are shut down, all professional sports are shut down. It was I was like what the hell? It's so, you know, like my concern, like I'm not concerned about contracting this virus. I am not worried about it. I'm healthy. I have a strong immune system. I have eaten so much questionable food in my life that my immune system is so badass. If the coronavirus was to get into my body, my immune system would drop kick it in the fucking face. I am not worried about it. I will recover from a coronavirus infection if I get that. That's not my concern. But when it starts to be an inconvenience.
Yeah, big time.
And it's, you know, and I'm not old, like I'm inconvenienced. Everybody's inconvenienced. Every single person is being affected by this in one way or another, whether you're infected by it or whether you're not. We're all affected by it in some way or another. And for me right now, I have 2 small children. My kids are both in school. So it's like, okay, now school's closed for, 3 weeks.
Yeah,
It's like, well,
because they get an extra 2 weeks after March break.
that's right. You know, my children are in the daycare facility.
In town here?
No, somewhere else. Before school and after school. And so it's like, okay, well, so I asked, you know, the mother of my kids, and I said, like, what's going on with the daycare? Like, is the daycare closed? Is the daycare staying open? And she's like, well, the daycare's closed too. So I was like, okay, now this is where it really affects me. It's like I have kids in school, I have to work, You know, their mother has to work, but somebody has to look after the kids. You know, my kids are 6 and 4. Like, they can't stay at home by themselves. So it's like, okay, now how, you know, we have to figure out what we're going to do here. We did find a solution. There is, you know, we did take care of it, but it's going to cost us a little bit of extra money to have somebody watch the kids, but at least, you know, we're still going to make it to work.
Yeah.
And stuff. And, yeah, like the gyms, like, I'm a member at the YMCA. Like, I like to work out a few times a week, and it's like I drove by the gym there just the other day, and it was like the place was locked up tight with a notice on the door, like closed until further notice. And it's kind of like, well, like further notice could be a month, it could be 2 months, it could be 6 months. Yeah, it's just a really interesting time right now. I don't know if I was trying to think, you know, on the way here before we started this podcast, I knew we were going to talk about a little bit about the coronavirus and how big it is right now. I was trying to think what the biggest news that's hit since then, and the best thing that I could come up with that's had the biggest impact as far as media and news would be like 9/11.
Yeah, I mean, at least in my memory, 9/11 was
Like that's close to 20 years ago. I think it's 2001 or something.
2001
that happened. So you
yeah.
know, that's 19 years ago. And I was like, you know, we've had a lot of stuff happen in the world. You know, there's been some other. You know, there was SARS. You know, that was a thing. And I think the best thing that came out of the best thing that came out of SARS was a badass concert in Toronto.
Oh yeah.
So, you know, I think that was the best thing that came out of that. That Zach's dude, his sister just walked in the door, so it's like, get out of here, we're doing a podcast.
I wasn't even sure where she wasn't here or not. Oh, well.
So, and, you know, then there was the whole ISIS thing, and ISIS is going to take over the world, and beheadings, and you know, that was some pretty crazy news too, but nothing like this. Like
it's a worldwide pandemic.
Right? Yeah, so. It's crazy. Friends of mine were telling me about stuff that was going on in the grocery stores, of how people are, like the whole toilet paper thing.
Who would have thought that was the first thing to go?
I know. I thought for me it would have been like canned beans and Campbell's Chunky.
Perishables. You're going to be stuck at home
but
for a couple weeks.
I didn't quite understand the toilet paper thing, and I'm sure most of the people that are watching this, I'm assuming, would agree with me to a certain degree about the toilet paper thing. Yeah, we all got to wipe our ass, but how much? I don't know. So a buddy of mine that I work with, his wife was shopping in Stratford, and I think it was No Frills. And his wife took some pictures, and there was a lineup from the checkout all the way to the back of the store, and I think it was 2.5 hour wait to get your groceries, and everybody's carts were just overflowing with anything and everything. Some of the shelves were, he was saying, his wife had said that you'd walk down the aisle and there was shelves that were just completely cleaned out.
Yeah, you can see that at Food Basics in town here.
Is that here in town too?
Gone. All the toilet paper, all the paper towels gone.
And I'm just like this is what is happening here? Like, I don't, you know, and me, like, I'm not a crazy person. Like, I'm not freaking out. You know, I don't feel the need to go completely overboard and go into like the state of panic.
Mm-hmm.
But when you see these people that are going into the grocery stores and cleaning out the place, for someone that's not a crazy person,
right?
It's just like, okay, well, it almost, and you know what? Probably half the people that are in the grocery store that are filling up their carts, they're probably not that crazy either. They're probably thinking the way I'm thinking, which is what I'm going to explain right now, is, okay, I do groceries once a week.
Mm-hmm.
I get my certain things. I get my fresh produce and my vegetables and, you know, the things that I eat in a week. And when I go to the grocery store, I don't have to worry. Like, the products that I buy, they're there.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, well, if I go buy groceries and the grocery store's empty, and I only buy enough groceries to last a week because most of the food I eat now is fresh produce and stuff. So, you only buy 4 or 5 days at a time before it starts to spoil, right? I'm like, well, what if I go to the grocery store and I can't get any of that stuff? So it's like, well, maybe I need to go to the grocery store and kind of stock up, on some certain things so I know that I actually have enough food to get me by because all these other people are soaking up all the product. And the next thing you know, it's like everybody's a crazy person.
It's other people causing other people to panic.
That's right.
Like, well, there might not, exactly what you're saying. There might not be anything there for me to go get when I need it.
That's right.
So get it now. I mean, what if they close the grocery stores down?
Well, I was talking to one of the guys that worked at Foodland, and he was saying, like, yeah, we have another truck that's coming on Monday. I'm assuming the grocery store is going to be pretty empty come Monday. He says, like, I've never seen it like this. He says it's like almost like it's Christmas Eve. He said, but what if, like, we supply the consumer, and then we have our warehouses that supply us, like in Toronto and stuff, right? Mm-hmm. And then a lot of the stuff that supplies those comes from the United States, like a lot of your produce and your vegetables and fruits and stuff. Obviously, we don't grow here in the winter, so a lot of that gets imported in from the United States.
Yeah.
And then he was saying, well, what if, Donald Trump decides to close, the U.S.-Canada border and doesn't allow anything across, and it's just like, whoosh.
And that's a thought, because I don't think Trudeau would ever do that.
And it's like, well, now it's just like, holy Trump. Shit, like, what the hell? Like, could this actually happen? Like, I'm still not freaking out, but when you get thinking about it, it's like, okay, like, if we're not bringing anything across the border, and it works both ways, like, then that means we're not importing anything over there either.
Right.
But I don't know. Well, it's going to be the next few weeks. I think especially the next 2 to 3 weeks is going to be super, super interesting to kind of watch the news and listen to what's going on. Like, not panic or whatever, but it's super. It's interesting of what's going on right now. Like when you first heard about it, like 3 weeks ago or a month ago, like, what did you think?
Honestly, for the most part, it's like, oh man, like, it's the typical, just expected stuff from like that from China,
right?
Because we all know, like, if you were to just Google it, see what kind of food that they eat over there, they'll eat anything. And
That's right.
There's a billion of them they gotta eat. And I just saw a video recently of all these wet markets with all these animals, snakes, bats, people eating live frogs, tadpoles in a soup. It's like, gonna catch something from something. Like,
yeah.
Over here, traditionally, we're just eating a few different animals.
Yeah.
And there's quality control.
That's right.
If something happens, you get rid of the whole flock or herd or whatever, right? And usually, especially in Canada, I think we like to hold ourselves to a really high standard when it comes to our food and stuff. But when you have...
I don't. I'll eat anything.
You were saying that.
Yeah.
I mean... Okay, at first I was thinking it was a joke. I'm like, oh my god, like, they're eating bats over there. What do you expect's gonna happen? You're gonna get some crazy stuff there. But I mean, it's getting more and more serious. That's for sure.
It's good thing Ozzy didn't get coronavirus when he apparently chewed the head off that bat like 50 years ago.
Yeah, well, that was a North American bat. I don't think. Who knows? Maybe he did get sick.
Anyway, we're getting sidetracked.
Yeah.
Carry on.
I love Ozzy.
I know you're not, so I wanted to bring that up. So.
I actually was just about to buy tickets to his show, and it got canceled because he has Parkinson's.
Okay.
So whatever. I was gonna be in Hamilton. I'm really sad. Oh well. It was on my birthday too.
Such is life. Anyway, Asians, bats.
Yeah. So what I've heard, anyways, now is that we're a couple months behind the initial outbreak in Wuhan, China, was where it all started. They even narrowed it down to like a certain market.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay,
and they
never
can
heard
confirm that it was bats.
Yeah, I had heard that from
Yeah.
a Rogan podcast. He had some professional on there talking about it, and they had said
That was a good
That's
podcast.
something
I
like
shared that one on Facebook. Like, be informed.
Yeah,
people.
yeah,
Like,
no, it was.
This guy knows
that
what
was-
he's talking about. He's
That
doing
was
it for
super good
50 years.
podcast.
But yeah, and I mean, I was also watching a video of a guy getting interviewed who has already overcome the coronavirus.
Yeah.
Like, him and his wife both got it. She's still stuck in Japan. He's back here. But they were on that cruise ship, one of the cruise ships that got quarantined.
Oh, on the lake,
Yeah.
right?
And neither of them, like, they tested positive for the coronavirus, but neither of them got any of the symptoms.
Okay.
So
Well, they're
He's
probably
just like-
healthy, strong immune
the
system.
middle-aged,
Yeah,
the guy's like, I didn't even, like, I had a cough once, twice, but
Yeah, and here's the funny thing about that is, so these husband and wife that you speak about test positive for the coronavirus, very little symptoms, like asymptomatic. Maybe
Yeah.
is that asymptomatic?
I think so.
Does that mean you have no symptoms? I'm trying to sound fancy here in front of the camera. Anyway, they didn't
That's
have
what we'll go
no
with.
symptoms, so they could they could potentially pass that on to somebody else, and it would kill them.
well, I mean, there's an up to a 14-day incubation period, right? Well, that's a really long time. You can become contagious the same day you contract.
Yeah, yeah,
And it's, from what I've heard, as easy as breathing.
that's right.
Because, I mean, that NBA basketball player got it,
Yeah,
and he was he's French. He was making fun of it, and he was touching all the mics and stuff, and he got in some big trouble for that, just making fun of the whole coronavirus. And he gets it, but he got it from another player who also had it. But they were both playing, like, that dude was playing in a game, so he was obviously not sick,
right.
but he was contagious. So just body contact
Yeah, yeah,
during the course of a game gave it to this other guy.
right.
So very contagious,
Yeah.
but like less deadly than the flu, they say. Just I feel like more people get the flu regularly,
Right.
and I mean I've had the flu a bunch of times. I haven't got a flu shot in 8 years.
I've never had a flu shot, so
I used to get them all the time. Mom gets them. Had to when I was a kid. So
right. Anyway, wanted to kind of go back because I wanted to share a funny story.
yeah,
We're talking about people of the Orient eating how they eat some weird stuff to our standards. Long time ago, over 20 years ago, I lived in an apartment not too far from here, and the guy that lived below me was a little Laotian fella. He had a wife and a couple kids. I'm not going to mention his name. Doesn't
I think I might know who you're talking about.
You probably do. And we used to hang out. Me and my friends, we'd hang out down at his place, and he'd always feed us interesting food. And there was one particular time it's because they have a different culture.
Oh yeah,
So he had a roll of paper, like the masking paper that we use when we worked at the paint shop. He had a roll of that, and he kept it behind his couch. So he'd rip off a chunk of paper about 3 feet, and he would set it down on the floor in the middle of the living room. Then he'd run an extension cord, and he'd set up a little electric frying pan on the living room floor on this paper. And me and my buddies, we'd all sit in a circle around this frying pan, and he'd be there he had a big ice cream tub full of some sort of shaved or very thinly sliced meat. And he'd sit there and he'd saute it up with the chopsticks, and he'd give us all a little plate, and as he was cooking it, he'd just keep, dividing it amongst us on our little plates with his chopsticks. And we were like, what are we eating? And he would never tell us. He was like, oh, it's beef, in his little Laotian accent. It was like, come on, this isn't beef. What are we eating? And he would never tell us what it was. But it was good, so we ate it. It tasted good. Like we weren't afraid. Like we didn't know what it was, but we ate it. And he never ever did tell us what it was. Several years later, I was working with another Laotian fellow who knew him quite well. And I asked him, I was like, so and so used to cook up this meat. And he was like, oh, okay, I know what that is. I said, well, what is it? And he says, it was just cow tongue, shaved cow tongue.
Oh,
That's all it
so
was.
it's beef.
Yeah, he wasn't. Yeah, he wasn't lying. It was beef. But I was like, why couldn't he just tell us it was cow tongue? So, yeah, I always remember that, him with his little electric frying pan with the weird. And we used to eat a lot of weird stuff. I was over there another time, and he had some stir fry. And I remember I stabbed my fork in, and I pulled my fork out, and I had 8 little tentacles with little suction cups on the end of my fork. There was like whole squid, like the whole thing, like obviously just little squid. Yeah, like it was like rice and all kinds of weird shit in it, and then squid.
Yeah,
And it was good.
Yeah.
That's
That's more common now.
Yeah, but it was quite delicious. And his wife would make the best egg rolls in spring rolls. And she would go grocery shopping once a month. She would drive all the way to Toronto to Chinatown and buy groceries there. And she'd buy enough groceries to last the entire month. And there was a couple times where she'd get home and we'd help her bring the groceries in because the back seat was full, the trunk was full, and there was some weird shit. There was some shit, I don't even know what it was. There was stuff in grocery bags that was moving. I'm not lying, I'm not even exaggerating. There was like tied up black garbage bags with like stuff moving in them.
So we went to a wet market.
And one of them, it was an eel. An eel, a live eel.
Big one.
I'm not even lying, I swear to God. There was a live eel she bought at this somewhere in Chinatown.
As far as I can tell, I've never eaten anything alive. Ants. I ate ants when I was a kid.
I told my kids this story just last night. We were talking about some stuff, and for some reason this came up in the conversation with my kids. And I was telling how my little Laotian buddy would eat grasshoppers, live grasshoppers. This was quite a long time ago. We were at work. It was like a Saturday. It was the middle of the summer. There wasn't much going on, and the boss had a real little small beef operation. Like he maybe had like 40 cows or something. Mm-hmm. And he had a little bit of land where he baled his own hay. He says, you guys are going to come and we're going to do a load of hay. He says, I'll pay you. So just stay punched in. Mm-hmm. And we're going to do a load of hay. I think there was maybe 4 of us. So, a couple guys on the wagon. And we look back and we're like, where'd our little Laotian friend go? He was on the wagon 5-10 minutes ago. We look back and he's like 100 feet behind the hay wagon, jumping around in the hayfield, catching grasshoppers with his hands, with his fingers, and just popping them, like eating them like Tic Tacs. And I was like, what are you doing eating grasshoppers? And he explained, he says, like, he came to Canada when he was like 15 or 16 years old. So, like his childhood, he grew up in Laos. Yeah. And he said, yeah, there wasn't a lot of food, so you pretty much just ate whatever you did. So as kids, you ate grasshoppers.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of insect delicacies out there, but chasing them around like that would be a funny thing to see.
It was funny. He was jumping around like a little monkey or something. He was just snatching these grasshoppers up out and just popping them back like Tic Tacs. It was cool.
I'm trying to think of anything weird that I've had to eat.
Well, when you were in Europe, did you have any something that was maybe something that would be something cool, something?
Well, I mean, I tried blood pudding and I tried.
Over there?
Oh yeah, I tried haggis.
Okay, what is that? What's blood pudding for the listeners who don't know what blood pudding is? I'm not even quite sure what it is. So I'm really just asking you to explain it. I've
So
heard
it's
of
like
it.
black and white pudding. It wasn't even. To me, it was like it was just a little disc, and it was black.
But what is it?
Blood, sheep's blood with some sort of pastry. It's bread, but
Is it like coagulated blood?
yeah, and they put brown sauce on it. My buddy Paul's daughter finished mine because I was not interested. I tried it,
Right.
and it wasn't very good to me. It had like bubbly toffee.
No.
Kind of like a toffee that you put in your mouth and it just melts, but there's like air pockets.
Like an arrow bar?
Yeah, similar
Okay.
but toffee, so it's a little
Okay.
bit more dense.
All right, go on.
It was kind of like that, and it was crispy on the outside, kind of chewy on the inside. Like I tried to eat it, took a couple bites, and I was just not having it. It did not taste terrible. It did not taste good as well. So I likely won't eat it again.
And what's haggis? What's that?
Sheep's stomach
Okay.
stuffed with all sorts of organs and intestines and stuff, and that was good. I really liked the haggis. It was whoever cooked it for me was really spicy. It's good.
So like a sheep's, so obviously the lining of a stomach filled with other internal organs all cut up and chopped up
Yeah,
and then cooked.
essentially just not wasting anything, right?
Right,
Eat
with,
it all.
with spices and stuff too.
It had a bite to it.
Okay.
I don't know if they all do. My mom said when she had it, wasn't spicy, but this was really bitey, and I had seconds.
Like, is this a European thing?
Scottish.
It's a Scottish thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they have blood pudding in all of them. So you full Irish breakfast, full Scottish breakfast, full English breakfast. Of course, I had all three. I would say that the Irish one was the best, but it was pretty well the same. They're all the same. It's just they have a couple different things. Mine had peas. There's peas for breakfast.
Okay.
It was really good. I did not eat the blood pudding, but it was really good. There's potentially a dude in Wolverhampton and Chipwagon who sells poutine named after me now.
Named after you.
Yeah, Zach's Poutine. He said he was going to, but I don't know if he's going to follow through with that.
So he totally just was feeding you a line of bullshit.
Well, around midnight, me and my buddy Matty are walking around different bars.
Drunk.
Yeah. And then we stopped at a corner store because I was like, I'm going to get some water, like, because I was feeling it. And they had cheese curds, a pack of cheese curds, like, in Canada. Like, I was like, oh, I'm going to grab some curds.
In Canada or Quebec?
You can get curds here.
Not like Quebec.
No, it's true. Oh, we had some poutines out in Trois Rivières. Those were good. But anyways, yeah. And then later in the evening when we were done, also I went to a bar in Wolverhampton. It's a little sidetrack here. But the most beautiful people were working there. I couldn't even bring a hat in. Like I had this hat on me.
So like Legion.
Similarly,
But younger.
like fancy, young, and all of the employees were tense. Even the guys, I was like, fuck, that's a good-looking guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm like,
Absolutely.
damn, like, and the girls, there was one girl there, blonde. Wow. Whatever. I tried talking to her a little bit, but they didn't have time for that. The accent got me pretty far over there.
Yeah, it would have stood out.
Yeah, and I was the only one ever wearing a hat in a bar. No one else, especially in Ireland. I didn't really go to the bars in Scotland because I was staying with a buddy and his family. But like the one bar I went to, I forget what it was called. Oh, the Rose. I think it was called the Rose. Couldn't bring a hat in.
Right.
Like usually, I just put it on my belt. I just attach it here. But I had to coat check my hat.
Really?
Which I was worried about. So my buddy actually took off one of his shirts and checked his shirt in with my hat just to make sure I didn't lose my hat because I had just got it and I like this hat a lot. But yeah, anyways, we were at a Chipwagon after all that, and my buddy's just like, yeah, chips and gravy. And then I was like, yeah, I'll take some chips and gravy too, but put these curds on there first. And the guy was like flabbergasted. He's like, what the hell's that? I was like, that's going to be a poutine. It's a Canadian thing. Like mostly, I didn't say Quebec. I said Canadian.
The
thing.
Canadian thing, yeah.
Yeah, and he
Until
asked
they
me.
until they leave Canada, then it's a Quebec thing.
Yeah, true. You think they will?
I don't know.
I know Alberta kind of wants to.
I don't even know what you're talking about. Get back to the 13.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, so I put.
Well, wait a minute, Alberta?
Yeah, they want. I think that's what I heard.
They want out.
They do.
I never heard anything.
They got all the oil money, man. They don't need Canada.
Go back to your food stuff.
That's a different story. Anyways, yeah. So, the dude was okay with me doing that. I put the cheese curds on, then he put the gravy on it. But
Okay,
yeah,
so you had your own cheese curds?
I bought them at the store
Oh, okay.
at
So-
midnight, like a pack of curds. They weren't nearly Quebec level, but like they weren't chewy.
right.
It was just kind of like a block of cheese cut into little bits. More like,
Oh, okay.
I feel
So
like
not squeaky cheese.
no, it wasn't. But still pretty good at 3 in the morning when you're drunk as hell and
Dude,
in the rain.
gas station sandwiches taste good at 3 in the morning after a
Fucking
bar.
Dirk's Chip Wagon in town hot
No,
dogs.
that tastes good any day. And
You're
I'm
right.
talking like gas station, rubber sub, 2 in the morning when the bar closes. That's phenomenal.
It is. It hits the spot every time. I've done that.
We used to, long time ago, we used to go to this bar in Stratford, and it was called Rumors. So this is going back 2000, 2001, maybe a little bit 99. So we go to this bar in Rumors. Some people probably know what I'm talking
I've heard of it. Where was it?
Where the hub is in Stratford. I believe that the hub is upstairs. So where the hub is, used to be a bar that was called Classics.
Classics.
That's where all the Cougars were.
Nice.
And then downstairs, that was Rumors, and that was more like your club,
Right.
like with your dance music, younger crowd and stuff. So anyway, we used to go to Rumors almost every single weekend, and there was a pizza, like literally like 20 feet down the sidewalk. If pizza was too full, or it was too crazy, or if they were closed because they didn't want to deal with drunk people, we'd stop at the 7-Eleven, which isn't even there anymore, on the way out of Stratford, and get gas station Donairs and eat those on the way back to Goderich from Stratford.
Gotta have something.
Gas station Donairs, and they were at 2 o'clock in the morning when you're like hammered, were phenomenal.
You probably look forward to it. You're like, oh, we're
Oh
getting
yeah, I
those
was like, I
hours.
can't wait to get out of here and go to 7-Eleven and get 2 gas station Donairs. Incredible eats after the bar.
In Killarney in Ireland, they have a restaurant. It's not a restaurant. It's a walk up.
Okay, isn't there a beer, or is that Kilkenny?
There's also Kilkenny. Killarney has their own beer as well.
Okay, I was confusing Kilkenny with, sorry, forget that, carry on.
That's right. Whatever. So in the bar region, all the bars are pretty localized.
Right.
Pubs, and they're all pubs. Like there's no like sports bar,
Right.
and all of them have live music all the time. Like it was awesome.
Like live.
Yeah, somebody's singing in all of them pretty much every night.
Like singing,
Like even a Sunday night.
bands,
Usually just a
cool Scottish music with bagpipes and
no. Usually just one guy.
Like you got that shit going on?
No.
Like somebody in there playing Long Way to the Top by AC/DC with the bagpipes? Like that'd be kind of cool.
Full band, maybe. Like I didn't see actually any bagpipes getting played.
So
At all.
disappointing.
Yeah, I know. I expected a lot of things, and then it's just kind of like here in a way.
Like were they like wearing kilts down the street, or is that just like a whole big
Nobody.
stereo?
No
myth?
kilts.
No kilts, no bagpipes.
I think I saw there was a guy wearing a kilt, but he
Red
was-
hair. There had to have been dudes with red hair and beards that talk funny.
Tons.
Okay, good.
And if I'm to be fair here, the Southern Irish accent was a lot harder to understand than any Scottish accent I came across,
Oh, okay.
which I thought it would be kind of vice versa, because I can understand my buddy reasonably well.
Right.
But then again, I've talked to him a few times. But it seems like, especially just overhearing others having it, they're speaking fast. Like you're out in the comfort zone, you're speaking with your buddies,
Yeah,
but then all of a sudden a word will go in there that you don't know. It's like, oh, that's Gaelic for sure.
right.
So they have Gaelic slang down there. They might not be fluent in Gaelic, but they got they got some words that they use.
Gaelic.
Gaelic.
That just sounds gay.
Well, it's old school AF and
What's AF?
as fuck.
Oh.
Yeah, short terms nowadays. I'm kind of young, but not really.
How old are you, Zach?
I'm gonna be 29 this year.
Okay, so you're 14 years younger than I am. So I apologize if I don't get your all now.
I have
shit.
a 18-year-old, 19-year-old brother too, so that helps a little bit with keeping up with the lingo these
Right.
days. But yeah, what was I talking about? Accents.
Yeah.
So and then not to make
Actually,
fun
you're
of
talking about Gaelic is what you're
Gaelic.
talking
Yeah,
about.
Gaelic, I believe.
It's just weird.
It's a weird language. So you find it a lot in Wales and
Okay.
in Ireland, apparently.
So is that like a dialect of?
Totally different language, like non-English.
Oh, okay.
It's Gaelic. That's what they spoke before the English.
Okay.
And you don't find a lot of practitioners of that anymore, apparently. Like, I didn't meet anybody who couldn't speak English there at all, but there's people who you'd hear speaking English, and then all of a sudden a couple words would flow in there. I'm
Right.
like, well, what's that? So I'd ask. My buddy was like, what did they just say? He's like, oh, it's Gaelic. Like, it's just a couple words. We have slang here for that.
Right.
It's like, okay. It's like we say a couple French things. Like, I say tabernacle a lot. Tabernacle.
Taberzac.
Yeah. Small ball hall, big boots, burly.
Yeah.
But so in Ireland, the style of the guys there, in my opinion, was terrible.
Like clothing, like stuff.
Just the way they looked, and all of them looked the same.
Okay.
Like not at the Grand necessarily, because I feel like that was potentially a little bit higher class of people. It was more fun, like busier place. But
Yeah.
a lot of the younger lads that I saw there, they all had shaved sides of the heads, kind of like I do, but curled perm on top. Really weird look.
Okay. And obviously nobody wears hats.
Nobody. I was the only one in the bar. At most.
Okay, they don't wear hats in the bar, or are they just wearing hats just isn't a common thing just anywhere?
Well, no, yeah. Now that you mention it, in Scotland there were some hats, but like because it was cold,
Right.
so people were wearing toques.
Okay, yeah.
They just called them caps.
Okay.
Anything that goes on their head's a cap. Doesn't matter what type it is.
Okay, so they got fucked up hair and
Yeah.
like jeans and a t-shirt or like weird
They all
pants.
have like a sports jacket on,
Okay.
usually the same color. But it was just weird. The haircut alone gets you because
Okay.
you got 6 guys rolling in,
And they're all
they
got the
look
same dude. All
yeah,
got the same haircut.
identical. Like it's like they got it done at the same time. Even
Right.
they just rolled into the barbershop. Let's get it done, boys.
Huh.
Worst though was down in Cork, Ireland. Second last night I stayed there. Me and the boys. They picked me up from the airport because I flew back from England. And down there, the dudes wear capris essentially. Like it was like the style that these guys had were just flat running shoes, no socks.
Like flat running shoes, like Vans.
No, I didn't mean flat, but just like flat out. They're runners.
Oh, okay.
Like a pair of Saucony or Asics,
Okay.
like gym shoes,
Right.
gym shoes. But they would never have socks on. Their pants were as tight as possible, and 6 to 8 inch gap between their shoes and their pants. It was like capris.
Yeah.
And then they all had like some of them had nice shirts on, I guess, but most of them had like a sports jacket on.
Right.
And then the haircut was there. I literally told my
Like
buddy,
how tight are these pants?
the tightest. Nobody would ever dare to wear that here. Like especially out to the bar. You're not going to talk to ladies here wearing that.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I got a funny story for everybody. I had a girl come over and visit. This was quite some time ago, and for some reason her pants were off. I can't explain why. And she was wearing jeggings, so like the tight flexy jeans.
Right.
They call them jeggings.
Okay.
As a joke, I put them on.
And they fit.
Oh my God, they were so comfortable. Unbelievably, the most comfortable pair of pants I have ever worn in my entire life was a pair of women's jeans, and I'm not afraid to admit it. It was phenomenal. And I was like, and of course we're both drunk. And she's like, oh my God, you look so good in them, and you're blah, blah, blah. And of course I take it to heart. I went out the next day, I went to Walmart, and I bought a pair.
In the ladies section.
Of course, they're ladies' pants. I'm not even lying. And I'm confident enough and secure with myself to tell this story in a podcast. I don't give a shit. So I buy, just make sure the camera's still, So I buy these jeggings, and you should have seen the look on the girl at Walmart on her face when I says, oh, because I didn't know how to size them. You know, like as a guy, like I wear like a 32 to 34, jeans. So and then 32, I think is typically what size pants I wear. And I couldn't figure out how these chick pants were sized. So I go and ask this, like, how does this like convert to like a 32 waist or whatever? So she explains it to me. She's like, oh, is this a gift? Like what size? Like, can you give me an idea of what the size of the girl is? And I'm like, no, these are for me. And she kind of looked at me. She says, what do you mean? I said, no, these are for me. I find these to be the most comfortable pair of pants, so I'm buying them for me. And just the look on her face was something else. So I bought them.
What year was this again?
Why?
Well, just give it a little bit of a scale.
It was a while ago. So I swear to God, Zach Hall, I wore those pants everywhere for 2 weeks. I wore them grocery shopping. I wore them out to Boston Pizza, having drinks with friends. I went to like it was like a tour of a place. They were giving a public tour. I went there wearing these pants. I knew I looked ridiculous. Like, let's not kid ourselves. When you got a guy wearing a pair of jeggings, it's weird.
Right.
But I was just like, this
comfort level, though,
right? Oh, it was phenomenal. It was phenomenal. It was like wiping your ass with a cloud. It was just so, the feeling was great. So I wore these pants everywhere for 2 weeks. And the killer for me when I was like, okay, I gotta stop wearing these. I was at McDonald's and I ordered my food, and I'm standing in line waiting to get my food. And I got these fucking pants on, and there was a younger teenage guy and a girl they were probably dating or whatever. I remember they were kind of looking around the corner, and then they go back, and I could hear them talking, and then the other one would look around, and then the other one would look around, and then they both look around like, okay, they're totally, and I was like, okay, I've did this for 2 weeks. I'm going to retire the jeggings. But yes, I have worn skin-tight ladies' pants, and I did it for 2 weeks.
Okay. All right. Did you go to the club and try to wheel?
No, I did not go clubbing. I didn't try to pick up girls when I had my lady pants on, but I did. Yes, I did.
Okay.
In public.
Okay.
Willingly.
Yeah, no, that's impressive.
For,
say the least.
For 2 weeks, yeah.
Eventually you gave in because you know other people were like,
oh yeah, like for sure. Like there's like, what's with this? Like, look at the pants on. Actually, I wore them to another really good friend of mine. I go over to his place the odd Friday night. We sit out in his garage and we have a couple beers and shoot the shit or whatever. And he's got 2 little kids and they just absolutely adore me. And they come out and my buddy's just like, oh, look at Shelly's. He's got his tight pants on. This was a while ago that I did this. His kids still will come up and be like, where's your tight pants, Shelly?
They will never let it go.
No, they will not. If you ever have the don't wear them out in public. But if you ever have the opportunity to at least try a pair on, just put a pair on and just kind of get a feel for it.
It might take me a time to even find them anywhere in a store. I'm not fully familiar with jeggings, so, but.
Well, just say if you ever have a girl over and she's your size, then
that's unlikely.
Zach's a bit of a big boy. 100% pure love machine right here. So, Yeah. Try them on.
I would. I would try things on, like especially. I would try them
Like a thong?
on.
Would you ever do that?
Once, maybe.
You would once, or you have once?
I would do. I would try it.
I don't know if I would.
I would suck probably, but
Like the least thing I've ever worn was my bodybuilding little posing trunks that you gotta wear when you're on stage, and that was in front of a whole bunch of people.
but I've always wondered about that in the bodybuilding industry. Why are they wearing just enough to hold balls in place?
Well, because you're judged on your entire physique.
Is there
So
that
you
much muscle
have-
right here?
So if you have a portion of your physique covered up, then yeah, if you're like completely like ripped, like yeah, you can like you have like striations in your ass,
Right.
like in your glutes, like you can actually physically see all the muscle striations in your ass if you're dieted down enough. And if you are, you want to be able to show that to the judges, so you'll just kind of pull your posing trunks up a little bit to expose your glutes so you can display like the striations in your ass.
Well, anything for the win.
So, yeah, I guess.
There's a lot of discipline involved there, which is what I lack. I lack discipline.
Very much. Hey, we all lack discipline in some form or another, myself included.
Yeah.
Some of us just have just a little bit more discipline than others, but what else you got? Let's see, we are just over an hour now.
Yeah. I mean, that's what we were kind of looking for.
Yeah, we're doing a book about for an hour. Anything else you want to add, or you just want to shut her down?
Totally up to you. I'm just trying to think of anything else cool that was going on in England that I saw.
We talked about the soccer, we talked about the goofy haircuts and the bars and the blood pudding and the haggis and
Yeah.
well, what were the girls like there? You said the girls like were some of the girls at the restaurant were nice, but
Yeah, honestly, a lot of really attractive ladies there. Like the hostel I was staying at too had a Swiss girl working there, and she was very good looking. Spoke English very well, but she was German.
right.
She spoke German from Switzerland, but she was very good looking. Of course, I got on Tinder. You gotta you gotta play the field. That's the easiest way to play the field because everyone on Tinder is interested as well. And I mean, I got a couple matches over there, but there's some really attractive women on there.
Yeah.
Kind of just see. That's a good way. It's like a magazine almost. You're like,
Right.
no, yeah.
You use dating websites?
Yeah, a little bit.
Like which ones?
So Tinder is one. There's Bumble.
Yeah.
I think there's one called Badoo.
Badoo?
Badoo,
Not
B-A-D.
bidet.
I don't know. I don't think it's bidet. Or Badoo. or Daboo. I don't know what it's called, to be honest with you.
But you're on that one too?
Yeah,
So you're on 3.
3.
Anything?
Not very, like, I'm not active on there, realistically.
So then why are you on?
It's just kind of cool to see what kind of
Just take that-
attractive
just
young ladies are in the area.
Swing through every once in a while and see
Yeah.
what's out
Yeah.
there.
Well-
Have you actually got any dates?
And I did in Scotland, yes.
Here. We're not in Scotland.
Yeah, I have.
Okay.
I'm talking to one girl on there now.
Talking to her on where?
Tinder.
So you're like actually communicating through the Tinder app? Like,
Yeah, you
like
can message on there.
I don't use dating websites. I never have. No, that's a lie. I did use a dating website 13 years ago, and I've never used one since. I don't
Nah, it's
have I don't know. I like to think that I'm confident enough in myself that if I see a girl that I think is attractive, then I just like the idea just approach them and just talk to them in person.
yeah. That's the most normal way to go about it, really. I guess I'm a little more shy than that, perhaps. I don't know. I could talk to anyone really, actually, but
Yeah, no, you're very. You know, I've always known you to be very, very social.
yeah,
But even the most social guys can get extremely awkward around a beautiful woman.
right.
So
I find that I talk too much, like especially if I'm under the influence of something,
right,
alcohol, weed. A weed gets me talking.
get you,
Yeah,
get you jibber jabbering.
almost smoked some today, but I was like, nah, I better not for the first podcast I'm on. So
So
yeah.
obviously you're openly like you smoke weed.
yeah,
So like how much weed are we smoking a day? A week?
a week to myself, 1.5 grams, not a lot to be honest.
So to yourself 1.5 grams a week. Now is that in a like I don't know. I don't
smoke a pipe.
I don't smoke weed. I have smoked weed. I'm not a habitual weed smoker. I do classify myself as I don't smoke weed. It is very rare that you will see me smoke dope. So how much is 1.5 grams? So is that like a joint, 2 joints?
That'd probably be three joints realistically.
Okay.
1/2 gram joints are average. I don't really know. Like you can order them, and like I go to the dispensary in London, and they have 1/2 gram joints. They're all perfectly rolled.
Pre-rolled joints.
Yeah,
Oh.
it makes life real easy.
So, well, hello there, Kitty. We got
Skinny Pete.
Visitor on 519 Talks.
Couple animals.
Skinny Pete.
Skinny Pete.
Okay.
He's a good cat. Yeah, so I smoke. I got my pipe right over there. It's a shape of a guitar.
Okay.
So maybe 6 puffs of my pipe a day.
So you smoke daily,
Yeah.
and for what reason?
Sleep. Just make things a little funnier.
Funnier.
Everything gets a little bit funnier.
Okay. Okay, what if you were to go a day without smoking weed? Would that affect you in any way? Like, geez,
No,
like I have.
I went 2 weeks. I didn't smoke any at all when I was on my trip.
Okay, because some people, like,
In fact, I didn't even have a drink for 7 days before I went to because I knew I was going to be drinking a lot in Ireland.
okay, like some people like have to smoke weed like every single day.
I have a buddy
I don't know.
who is a functional pothead, like for sure.
Right.
As soon as he wakes up, he goes for a cigarette, then he'll go downstairs and smoke the bong 2 or 3 times, and then he'll go to work. And then as soon as he's done work, he doesn't smoke it through the day on shift.
Right.
But as soon as he gets home, the first thing he does is straight downstairs, smoke the bong.
I never understood that.
It just keeps him in line. He doesn't really drink much. Like he'll have a beer or two socially as well, similar to you. But he's gotta have the marijuana.
That's interesting.
And I know a lot of people who smoke a lot. Like we're talking quarters daily.
Wow.
It's a lot.
You know, I bought weed. I've only bought weed once.
Yeah.
Once in my entire life, I actually bought weed. And that would have been October of 1998. Sorry. October of 90. Yes, it was. It was October of 98. It was. I'm phenomenal with remembering dates and times. I'm not going to say who I bought it off of. It doesn't matter. But yeah, that was October. That's 22 years ago.
Yeah,
It's almost 22 years ago. We bought a half quarter weed, and we bought 2 grams of mushrooms.
I like mushrooms.
Yeah, I don't really care for weed. Weed does sometimes. I've had some very bad experiences just with smoking, like just outdoor weed. So I try to stay away from it. I don't mind an edible from time to time, but even that's super rare. But I will tell you one little experience I had in September of just this past September.
Right.
My mom will be horrified if she ever listens to this. And oh my God, my son's smoking marijuana. Mom, I don't smoke marijuana. I have smoked marijuana.
My mom knows.
I smoke shatter.
Nice.
Like this is like a dude that doesn't hardly smoke weed, maybe twice a year. I was at a friend's place and they're like, "You want to try this?" And I'm like, "Oh," and I'm what is this? And from what I understand, you can confirm or deny my information. Is shatter is basically a highly concentrated, almost like extracting the THC out of
Yeah, they like squeeze it
this
out of the buds.
and it's like 98% THC, like something, and it came in almost like a taffy.
Yeah,
Like
it's
it wasn't like
shatter.
actual weed. It was
It's
like
shatter, and it'll shatter.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So they had some special apparatus.
They had a unit, or what do they call it?
I think they called it a unit.
It's a unit.
Not like my
Shatter
unit, but
unit.
a different unit.
Right.
But anyway, we were outside, and I was like, I like, how much do you want? And I'm like, I don't smoke dope. So I remember like this guy broke off this teeny tiny little piece, and he put it in this.
Oh, they call it a rig. It's a rig.
The rig. That's right. I do remember that. I do remember the rig. Yeah.
I stay away from that. I mean, I would do it if it was readily available to me, but
Yeah, the rig. So he loaded up his pot Peterbilt, and I smoked just the teeniest tiny bit of shatter. And holy lightning! I was just like Gonzo.
Yeah, it's like a whole new world.
I just sat in this lawn chair in front of the fire, and I was just like it was pretty intense for a little bit after that. But I haven't smoked anything since then.
No, probably was a heck of an experience.
That was,
baked AF.
And it was just like the teeniest, tiniest bit, and these dudes were like breaking off chunks 3 times the size I was doing, and then doing it again 15, 20 minutes later, and again.
Yeah.
They're like, "You want another hit, man?" I'm like, "No."
I'm still
good.
flying, man. I'm still flying.
Totally good.
If you were to check out social media a little bit, Instagram, you can find people who smoke so much in one go, and they just exhale it out like nothing. They're fine. It's like, what the fuck?
I couldn't even.
Like, I smoke. I don't smoke the bong often. At my buddy's house, I do. So I'm used to smoking cones.
Cones. Is that still a thing? I
Coke.
remember cones when I was like a teenager.
Yeah, that's mostly what we call it. Still, smoke a cone, smoke a bowl, hit the bong.
Hit the bong.
When I was
You might know this. You're quite a bit younger than me, but the old, like, they were really big in the 90s, Cypress Hill. The song called "The Hits from the Bong."
Hits from the bong.
When we were in high school, this podcast is going on a bit long, but whatever. Anyway, when we were in high school, we did this silk screening project. So we had to make up our own design and then like cut. I don't know, I forget. There was like a piece of like green or some plastic, and you had to make a design. They had to use X-Acto knives and then cut it all out, and then you'd silk screen it onto a t-shirt. So my buddy Chris, who I'm going to do a podcast with probably in the next week or so,
Nice.
he made this big Cypress Hill silk screen. He spent like a week like with little X-Acto knives and like just perfected. He was a really, really good artist back in high school. So anyway, he made this great big Cypress Hill silk screen, and he made his t-shirt. Well, a bunch of other kids from the high school seen it in the art room and they wanted it. So Chris ended up had like his own little teeny tiny side business going out of the art room, was printing off these silk screened Cypress Hill t-shirts back in high school. I remember that anyway.
That is cool.
I remember that.
Nothing cool like that when I was in art. We just drew and painted, and Mr. McMullen, I believe he's dead now, but this crazy mad scientist looking guy.
I still have an art project. It's hanging up in my bedroom still to this day from high school. I'm 14 years older than he is, and he's 29, so do the math. Grade 10, I did this art project. Still hanging up in my bedroom to this day. I did this painting of Angus Young.
AC/DC.
AC/DC's Angus Young, and I still have that painting.
So it must have been good. You did a good job.
It's not terrible.
Well, you're proud of it.
I'm proud of it.
Yeah.
Like, you can tell who it is. Like, if you know who Angus Young is, you're like, oh, okay, that's Angus Young. Like, Angus Young is very recognizable. He has a very iconic, look to him. But I'm pretty proud of that. I still got it after all these 28 years ago or whatever it would be, or 25. So, but yeah.
That's crazy.
Anyway, we're at an hour and 15 minutes, so let's shut her down.
Yeah.
This has been hold on.
Oh, jumping the gun.
This has been a lot of fun.
519 Talks, area 519 Talks.
519 Talks podcast. Zach is from the area of the 519, so he is legit.
I qualify.
He qualifies. Awesome talk, buddy.
Thanks for having me on.
Do this again.
Yeah,
All right,
absolutely.
Shut that off.